What does it take to wield power in a world where morality and ambition clash? Discover the controversial insights of Niccolò Machiavelli and challenge your beliefs about leadership, trust, and the true nature of politics. Welcome to Machiavelli Unveiled, the art of power and politics. In this audiobook, we will explore the mind of Niccolò Machiavelli, the controversial figure who revolutionized political thought in the 15th century. Through his work, The Prince, Machiavelli presents a pragmatic approach to governance that has sparked debate for centuries. As we delve into his ideas, you'll gain insights into the historical context of 15th century Florence, the cunning rule of the Medici family, and the principles that underlie Machiavelli's philosophy. Prepare to challenge your views and understand the hidden costs of power, the dynamics of trust, and the delicate balance between love and fear in leadership. Focus points. The hidden cost of power. Explore the sacrifices leaders make and the ethical dilemmas they face in the pursuit of authority. Opportunities fall into the hands of the willing. Understand the importance of seizing opportunities and the proactive mindset required for successful leadership. Politics is a matter of calculated trust. Examine how trust is built and manipulated in political arenas, and why it is essential for effective governance. The army represents the strength of the state. Discuss the crucial role of military power in maintaining a state's security and influence. Mercenaries can't be patriots. Analyze Machiavelli's perspective on mercenary forces and their implications for national loyalty and effectiveness. The mastery of balancing between love and fear. Learn about the delicate equilibrium leaders must maintain between being loved and feared to achieve stability. Conclusion. Reflect on the relevance of Machiavelli's ideas in today's political landscape and consider how they apply to contemporary leadership. Learning outcomes. Understand the historical context of 15th century Florence and the political dynamics of the Medici family. Explore Machiavelli's core principles of political realism and their implications for leadership. Analyze the complexities of power and the ethical considerations involved in governance. Evaluate the relevance of Machiavellian thought in modern politics and leadership strategies. Challenge your own beliefs about morality and ambition in the context of effective leadership. Focus point 1. The hidden cost of power. In 1513, a sudden and shocking turn of events unfolded for Niccolò Machiavelli, then a 44-year-old secretary to the Florentine Republic. Accused by the new authorities of conspiring against the government, he swiftly found himself imprisoned and stripped of all influence and authority. Once a respected figure, he became a target of suspicion, moving from the corridors of power to the grim confines of a prison cell. Fortunately for the realm of philosophy, he survived this ordeal and eventually left the city that no longer recognized his value. With his political power erased, Machiavelli turned his attention to writing, giving the world one of its most provocative works in history. This transformation marked his emergence as a proponent of realpolitik, championing the idea that the ends often justify the means, regardless of ethical considerations. Machiavelli's upbringing played a significant role in shaping his worldview. Born in Florence in 1469, he was raised by a devout mother and a skeptical father. His younger brother, Tato, chose a path of piety, becoming a priest, while Niccolò gravitated toward ambition and the pursuit of power at any cost. His aspirations for social ascension often led him into a life filled with indulgences and excesses, and the more austere rural life felt like a form of torment for him. With few avenues left to explore, Machiavelli harnessed his sharp intellect and astute observations, channeling them into his writing. Fame is a fleeting concept, second only to time. Approach it with caution. This narrative reveals the world as Machiavelli perceived it, a landscape rife with political intrigue and moral ambiguity. He meticulously analyzes the behaviors and motivations of those in power and those subjected to their whims, presenting a stark portrayal of what constitutes a true ruler. Characteristics such as cynicism, ruthlessness, and an unyielding resolve define the archetype of the Machiavellian leader. Even today, society struggles to accept leaders who embody such traits, as they challenge our deepest ethical convictions and the very essence of our conscience. Through exploring Machiavelli's perspective, we gain insight into his rationale for crafting the merciless prince. This work serves not only as a representation of the ideal leader, but also as a pragmatic guide for monarchs and political figures. If you find yourself intrigued by these themes, we invite you to continue this exploration. delving deeper into the enigmatic and often unsettling realms of Machiavellian thought. Focus point 2. Opportunities fall into the hands of the willing. Niccolò Machiavelli was born in Florence in 1469, a city under the youthful reign of Lorenzo de' Medici, who was just 20 years old at the time. Many questioned Lorenzo's readiness to govern, especially in the wake of Florence's recent shift from noble rule to a republic. This transition, which had taken place merely a century earlier, was marked by the principles of democracy, including elections and the rotation of leadership. However, the practical challenges of such a system soon became evident, leading to instability and political strife. Starting in 1434, the Medici family adeptly manipulated the electoral system to consolidate power through nepotism and patronage. What began as a democratic experiment quickly devolved into a covert dictatorship, creating a treacherous environment of rival families, betrayals, and violent coups. In this volatile landscape, Machiavelli recognized that a single misstep could prove fatal, and he learned early on that those who were prepared to act decisively often seized the greatest opportunities. Religious dynamics further complicated Machiavelli's formative years, as he grew up in an era marked by an ambiguous separation between church and state. The Puzzi family, arch-rivals of the Medici, gained the Pope's endorsement to conspire against Lorenzo. When their plot failed, Lorenzo was excommunicated, leading to Florence engaging in war against Rome. However, in a remarkable twist of fate, by 1480, the Medici and the papacy were compelled to unite against a common foe, the Ottoman Empire. Lorenzo's fortunes shifted dramatically. He went from being a pariah to becoming the Pope's favored ally. This lesson in the capriciousness of power left a profound impact on the young Machiavelli, instilling in him the understanding that political maneuvering often outweighed religious adherence. Politics and piety often make a strange pair, but people seeking power usually find a way to leverage both. During this tumultuous time of papal indulgence, a fervent preacher named Girolamo Savonarola emerged from the San Marco monastery. Savonarola, with his fundamentalist rhetoric, called for a return to the biblical text as the foundation of authority and condemned the humanistic excesses of church leaders. He prophesied that Florence would face a foreign invasion due to the moral decay of its people and their refusal to embrace a life of virtue and poverty. By 1494, his dire predictions materialized, setting the stage for a shift in the political landscape of Florence. This period of upheaval and shifting allegiances would become crucial to Machiavelli's political education. He learned that opportunities in politics often favored those willing to navigate the complexities of power with shrewdness and adaptability. The ability to act decisively amidst chaos would be a lesson that would shape his later writings, emphasizing the importance of being prepared to seize the moment when it arises. Machiavelli's experiences during these formative years laid the groundwork for his understanding of power dynamics, providing him with insights that would resonate throughout his seminal work, The Prince. Focus point 3. Politics is a matter of calculated trust. Machiavelli's career as a diplomat and his life philosophy come into sharp focus against the backdrop of Italy's turbulent political landscape during the 15th and 16th centuries. The pivotal changes that occurred in Italy during the 1490s would set the stage for a series of events that shaped the future of the peninsula. In this era, Florence stood as one of the 5 key states: the Kingdom of Naples, the Papal States, Florence, Venice, Milan. Among these, the Kingdom of Naples was the most extensive, with its surrounding territories embroiled in continuous conflict. The Venetians, having lost their overseas empire to the Turks, aimed to reclaim northern Italy. Meanwhile, Milan sought to fortify itself against the unification of France by attempting to annex Genoa to its south and west. Florence, while it dominated regions such as Arezzo, Pisa, and Cortona, had ambitions to conquer Lucca, which ultimately proved unsuccessful. At the same time, Rome was fixated on expanding northward and eastward, engaging in frequent warfare against both Venice and Florence. The Kingdom of Naples, ruled by a branch of the Aragon family, was under constant threat from the Spanish royal family contesting for its crown. To complicate matters further, the Angevin kings of France were actively trying to usurp power from the established monarchy. In this intricate web of alliances and hostilities, the delicate balance among these 5 powers hinged on the assurance of support whenever one sought to dominate the others. For instance, Florence could count on assistance from Venice and Milan whenever Rome sought to invade its territory. Conversely, if Milan were to attack, both Rome and Venice would rally to defend Florence. This precarious equilibrium, however, was disrupted by the French invasion of 1494. Choosing the wrong ally can spell doom for what you're trying to protect. In a strategic maneuver, each state would invite its rival from an opposing faction to encroach on territory, thereby preventing their adversaries from advancing. This calculated approach was designed to maintain a balance of power. However, in 1494, the dynamics shifted dramatically when King Charles VIII of France accepted Milan's invitation to lay claim to the crown of Naples. The scale of his army was unprecedented in Italy, marking the beginning of a prolonged period of foreign invasions that would plague the region for the next 4 centuries. To solidify their control, the French sought support from Spain to safeguard Naples, yet their efforts ultimately faltered. The Spaniards would go on to successfully expel the French from Italy, establishing their dominance over the region for the next 150 years. This tumultuous era highlighted a critical lesson for Machiavelli. In the realm of politics, trust and alliances are paramount. The necessity of carefully calculating who to trust, and the potential consequences of misplaced loyalty, became integral themes in his writings. Machiavelli understood that in the game of power, the stakes are high, and the wrong alliance could lead to catastrophic outcomes, underscoring the essential role of strategic thinking in governance. Focus point 4. The army represents the strength of the state. The political landscape of Florence underwent significant transformation following the death of Lorenzo de' Medici. With the throne vacant and his son Piero's capitulation, the stage was set for a new power dynamic. Girolamo Savonarola swiftly ascended to the position of prime minister, leading a brief but impactful reign from 1494 to 1498. His fervent fundamentalist preaching sparked a religious revival in Florence, which caught the ire of Rome, leading to a plot to unseat him. Amidst this upheaval, Niccolò Machiavelli's career flourished. By the age of 30, he had secured influential roles as Secretary of the Second Chancery and Secretary of the Ten of War, thus elevating the Machiavelli name to prominence. During this critical period, he traveled extensively to protect Florence's interests, actively participating in the Pisa military campaign, which was vital for maintaining the city's trade routes to the sea. A weak leader produces a weak state, while a strong leader produces a strong state. In 1502, Florence made the significant decision to elect a prime minister for life, choosing Piero Soderini for the role. Unfortunately, Soderini lacked the vision and decisiveness required to guide the state effectively, complicating Machiavelli's diplomatic efforts. The struggle for strong leadership was a recurring theme during this era, reinforcing Machiavelli's belief that the strength of a state is directly tied to the capability of its ruler. Once victory was achieved, nobody was going to put the winner on trial. Tim Parks, quoting Niccolò Machiavelli, frustrated by the unreliability of mercenary forces, who often deserted in times of crisis, Machiavelli advocated for a citizen army. He believed such a force would not only provide a more dependable defense for Florence, but also enhance his negotiating power as a diplomat. Machiavelli's vision for a citizen army stemmed from his first-hand experiences with the chaos that ensued when loyalty was lacking among hired soldiers. The constant evasions of his leader made Machiavelli's diplomatic life increasingly challenging. However, he found inspiration in decisive figures like Cesare Borgia, an adventurer and the son of Pope Alexander VI. Borgia was unencumbered by religious constraints and did what was necessary at each juncture, which deeply fascinated Machiavelli. He viewed Borgia as a modern and practical thinker, eschewing abstract morals in favor of effective statecraft, qualities he deemed crucial for Florence's survival and prosperity. In many ways, Cesare Borgia's strategic mindset and ability to make swift, pragmatic decisions formed the foundation of Machiavelli's The Prince. To Machiavelli, Borgia embodied the ideal ruler, one who skillfully navigated the complexities of governance without being shackled by the moral dilemmas that often hindered leadership. Interestingly, the term Machiavellism has since evolved to describe traits of manipulation, cynicism, and even sociopathy, often reminiscent of figures like Cesare Borgia. This association reflects the enduring legacy of Machiavelli's insights into power dynamics and the role of strong leadership in maintaining a robust state. Through his exploration of these themes, Machiavelli illuminated the intricate relationship between military strength and political stability, a lesson that continues to resonate in contemporary discussions of governance. Focus point 5. Mercenaries can't be patriots. Machiavelli's profound insights extended beyond politics into the realm of military strategy. His advocacy for a citizen army was substantiated when Florence, after numerous setbacks with mercenary forces, finally achieved a decisive victory against Pisan resistance in 1509. This triumph marked a rare moment of glory for Machiavelli during his 14-year tenure under Prime Minister Piero Soderini. It was the only successful initiative taken by an otherwise indecisive leader. Whatever our interpretation of his intentions, one reaction that Machiavelli never seems to provoke is indifference. Tim Parks. Machiavelli's disdain for mercenary armies was rooted in both political and philosophical beliefs. As an experienced diplomat, he understood that the army should embody the ruler's authority and the nation's values. Mercenaries, with no emotional ties to the country they served, diminished the ruler's reputation and weakened the state's defense. Moreover, these hired soldiers often had personal ambitions that could conflict with their loyalty to their employer, creating a precarious situation during times of crisis. In contrast, Machiavelli envisioned a citizen army as a reflection of the nation's core values and the embodiment of the Machiavellian prince's ideals. A patriotic army, motivated by a shared belief system, demonstrated the strength and unity of the nation. He believed that if the army showed determination and confidence, these attributes would naturally extend to the ruler, instilling a sense of strength at the highest levels of leadership. Pope Julius II, who succeeded Borgia's father, embraced decisive action and provided Machiavelli an opportunity to implement his theory of the citizen army. As the Secretary of the Ten of War, Machiavelli gained approval to form a citizen army to launch an attack on Pisa, a city that had previously resisted numerous assaults by mercenaries. The citizen fighters succeeded, leading Florence to victory over Pisa and demonstrating the effectiveness of Machiavelli's military philosophy. However, this victory was short-lived. 3 years later, Pope Julius forged an alliance with Spain to oust the French from Ravenna, a move that significantly bolstered his power. This alliance enabled the Pope to impose Medici rule over Florence, ultimately leading to the state's dependence on Rome. The Florentine army, unable to withstand the might of the Pope's forces, fell to their onslaught, resulting in the downfall of the Soderini regime. With the return of the Medici family to power, Machiavelli's role as a diplomat came to an abrupt end. The people you align yourself with will determine the outcome of your life. This principle resonated throughout Machiavelli's experiences and theories. His belief in the necessity of a strong, patriotic army underscored the importance of loyalty, unity, and a shared vision in securing a state's success. As demonstrated by the rise and fall of Florence's political powers, the alliances one forges can significantly impact both personal and national fortunes. Machiavelli's insights serve as a reminder of the complex interplay between leadership, military strategy, and the socio-political landscape, highlighting how the choices of leaders and the makeup of their armies ultimately shape the destiny of states. Focus point 6. The mastery of balancing between love and fear. Machiavelli's conception of the ideal ruler diverged sharply from the romanticized vision of a benevolent leader on a white horse. Instead, he envisioned a figure who could easily be mistaken for one of the horsemen of the apocalypse. His reputation as the first realist in political philosophy stems from the recognition that positions of power often involve a stark, kill-or-be-killed mentality. In such a ruthless landscape, it is those who exercise lethal authority who ultimately retain their power. For instance, when the Venetian leadership discovered that their commander, Carmignola, had lost interest in fighting, their fear of territorial loss compelled them to assassinate him rather than simply replace him. Similarly, Hiero of Syracuse opted for violence when he sought to replace his mercenary army with a citizen-based force. He executed them instead of allowing them to disband. A more notorious example is Cesare Borgia, who beheaded his loyal minister Ramiro d'Orco. Recognizing the public's discontent with d'Orco's brutal methods, Borgia deflected blame onto him, maintaining his image as a benevolent leader while simultaneously removing a potential rival. The leader's unique psychology forms and shapes their political systems. Machiavelli argued that leaders who fully embrace power and eschew the moral constraints imposed by Christianity often achieve greater success than their more ethically minded counterparts. However, he also acknowledged the necessity of earning respect. A new ruler could establish trust and loyalty by demonstrating military prowess, especially through religious wars, which served to bolster public admiration. Moreover, by initiating external conflicts, a ruler could strengthen ties with local barons, compelling them to acknowledge his authority. The analysis of historical leaders reveals two critical determinants of power: luck and personality. While luck remains an uncontrollable factor, the development of one's character and psychological resilience can be cultivated. Machiavelli himself could have flourished as the prime minister of Florence, but his noble status and the misfortune of being governed by a leader lacking in political acumen hindered his success. What complicates the nature of personality is its context-dependent variability. To retain power, a leader must exhibit adaptability, responding effectively to ever-shifting circumstances. Even the boldest of princes must possess the ability to modify their approach in response to changing political dynamics. Machiavelli's insights highlight the intricate balance between the attributes of love and fear in governance, emphasizing that a ruler who can master both, using fear as a tool while fostering loyalty, will ultimately thrive in the tumultuous arena of politics. Thus, the mastery of balancing love and fear emerges as a hallmark of effective leadership. A ruler who cultivates admiration while ensuring that fear serves as a necessary underpinning of authority creates a stable foundation for governance, thereby solidifying their position in a complex and often perilous political landscape. Conclusion. For Machiavelli, the intersection of Christian principles and effective political leadership represents a profound dichotomy. He contended that a remarkable leader must often set aside personal religious beliefs for the greater good of the state. This pragmatism is what made Machiavelli infamous. He justified the use of any means necessary to maintain the stability of the state and the power of its leader. His philosophy rejects the idea that a single set of values can adequately judge all human actions, advocating instead for a context-driven assessment of people's choices. This perspective contributed significantly to the emergence of moral relativism. As society evolved and scientific discoveries began to overshadow religious dogma, Machiavellian ethics re-entered the public discourse. His arguments for retaining power gained traction, suggesting that anyone could seize authority if they wielded military might or cunning. Importantly, Machiavelli asserted that true strength resides with the people, urging leaders to prioritize the interests of the masses over those of the aristocracy. He argued that royal influence is often a facade. When the populace grows discontented with their rulers, they possess the power to replace them. Over the centuries, the prince has elicited diverse interpretations. Some critics regard it as a manifesto of evil, while others see it as a blueprint for the liberation of the masses. There exists a spectrum of opinions, with many oscillating between agreement and opposition. Regardless of one's stance on politics and power, the prince challenges readers to reconsider the nature of leadership and to consciously select a philosophy that shapes their vision of an ideal ruler. Watch The Mind of a Leader, a documentary based on Niccolò Machiavelli's The Prince, featuring international leaders across various fields who discuss their ethics and vision in relation to Machiavellian principles. Listen to the Pampsycast Philosophy podcast, specifically episode 66 on Niccolò Machiavelli, Part 3 Machiavellianism Today, to deepen your understanding of his ideas and their relevance in contemporary discourse. Engaging with these resources can further illuminate Machiavelli's enduring influence on political thought and the complexities of leadership in our modern world. This audiobook has delved into the intricacies of power, leadership, and the practical strategies required for effective governance. Here are the key focus points we've covered. Separation of morality and politics. Machiavelli argues that effective leadership often requires setting aside religious or moral beliefs for the state's greater good. The role of citizen armies. A citizen army is essential for a strong state as it fosters loyalty and patriotism, unlike unreliable mercenaries. The balance of love and fear. Leaders must master the art of balancing love and fear to maintain authority and respect among their subjects. Adaptability of leadership. Successful leaders must adapt their character and strategies to the ever-changing political landscape. Historical examples. Machiavelli uses historical leaders to illustrate the necessity of decisiveness and the sometimes ruthless actions needed to retain power. Recommendations. Embrace pragmatism. Consider how the principles outlined by Machiavelli can be applied to modern leadership scenarios, balancing ethics with the necessity of making tough decisions. Build loyalty. Foster a sense of patriotism within teams or communities to strengthen commitment and performance. Adapt and evolve. Remain flexible and responsive to the shifting dynamics within your environment, much like the leaders discussed in the audiobook. This exploration of the prince has illuminated the complexities of leadership and the often harsh realities faced by rulers. Understanding these principles is crucial for anyone interested in politics, governance, or personal development. The topics covered in this audiobook are not only historically significant, but also relevant to contemporary leadership challenges. We sincerely appreciate your time and interest in this audiobook. If you found value in this discussion, please like, subscribe, and share with others who might benefit from these insights. Your support helps us continue providing content that fosters understanding and growth. Remember, as you listen, you're not just learning about power dynamics, you're also enhancing your language skills. The more you listen, the better you speak. Let's continue this journey together toward mastery in both knowledge and language. Thank you.